Hi, I'm here with Chris Underation, the advisor of WLFC 88.3, the Findlay Radio, University of Findlay Radio Network. And what I want to discuss with you here today, Chris, is just social media and how social media has enabled more things for you in the radio station here at the University of Findlay. But before we get into that, I would like to know first, how long have you been here working with WLFC?
Since I got on campus. They actually hired me to advise the paper, but then sometime between the time they hired me and the time I got here, the person who was advising the radio station quit, and they discovered I had a radio background, so they kind of told me when I got here, oh, by the way, you have the radio station too. It's like, all right, great. So that was the fall of 2006, okay. And I've been the advisor since then.
Oh, nice. It's always good when things work out. They kind of just fall into your lap and you go right with them, okay?
Yeah, my wife might beg to differ with you on that when I have to be here at 2 a.m. or 7 a.m. or nights or whatever, but oh well.
That's understandable.
The life of the media, right?
Yeah. So. Oh, yeah, definitely. Okay, getting into the social media, how long has WLFC been using social media?
Since 2007. My first year here, the fall of 06 and the spring of 07, my focus there was basically trying to get some coherence to what the radio station was doing because it was pretty incoherent. The summer of 07, we went with our first social media property, which at that time MySpace was the hot property. So we hopped out there on MySpace and immediately collected about 300 friends. And
wow.
Now we're close to 1,000 on MySpace.
Okay, wow. And since you mentioned MySpace, for those who don't know, social media, examples of social media are Facebook, MySpace, Twitter, things such like that, those internet websites that you get on, you interact with friends and,
yep.
Things like that. And you mentioned MySpace. I guess MySpace seems pretty much ancient now that you have have Facebook and Twitter and those things like that.
What I tell people is we're one of the 24 people on the planet left on MySpace, but we still update it every day.
Okay, do you get any responses or feedback from those users?
Yeah, what's happened now, as opposed to the very beginning, in the beginning we used to get a lot of messages from music lovers on MySpace, but now we really don't. Now it's pretty much all bands finding us on MySpace, okay. And they'll connect to us and send us messages maybe, or they will look at our contact information and email us or send us a hard disk. I mean, it really, bands do things differently. That's pretty much what MySpace has become. It's an outlet for bands and music now. Okay.
So it seems like the social media is more, or at least for MySpace, is more interactional, as opposed to informing, I guess. Is that what are you trying to inform your listeners, or?
Actually, all we're really trying to do, we're really not trying to do anything like that. I mean, we don't have a plan that, we want to inform. Basically, what we want to do is do what radio does, and that's engage our listeners. So, sometimes you hear a song, what do? You roll down the windows, you crank up the radio, and you kind of bob your head, sing out loud, do all that stuff. You're engaged, in the on-air signal that way.
Okay.
And we're trying to engage people online, too. And so that means, we will sometimes tweet out, we're going to have a remote at this time and place, come on out, get some swag. People will show up and pick up shirts and stuff like that. Okay. Or, here's some information about a band. What do you think? Sometimes someone will throw a question out there. We get feedback of all various sorts of types. From sometimes people saying things like, hey, boneheads, it's Bon Iver, get it right. Or, it's not 311, it's 311.
Okay.
And sometimes people will respond with long messages about, something that, whatever, struck a chord with them, whether it's about the music industry or whatever. And, people tell us they love us, people want to know the names of songs, stuff like that. I mean, it's good, and the thing is, it's asynchronous because we're not always in studio. So we can get the message, we can respond to it at our leisure and keep the dialogue going, a week, an hour, a day, or months after, sometimes in that case.
Okay. Speaking of dialogue, I heard you say get some swag?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that is the new term going around these days.
See, we've been using that since at least 2007.
Oh wow, okay,
Yeah,
so maybe I'm a little off these days. Okay, let me step up my game. Okay, get some swag. the advantages of social media, what are some of the, I guess, privileges that that social media offers as opposed to just not having it? What does it enable you to do?
The thing that I think, at least as far as I'm concerned, within radio, the biggest thing is it's asynchronous communication. It's been bad. Well, it's just the nature of the medium. That radio is a very time-sensitive, very immediate sort of thing. I say it, you hear it, you respond to it. But if in the olden days, back when I first got into radio, your listeners always used to call you, and talk to you while you were on the air. And you had your groupies; they always called you, and you would go out and do personal appearances. People would show up to see you. Now it's not really that way. We get almost no phone calls. All of our contact is through social media. But it might be something where in the morning I post something out there when I'm on the air, at 8 in the morning. Mm-hmm. The message shows up at 9 p.m. Someone got going through their feed, got it. It struck a chord. They responded. I might get it, or another jock might get it at night, morning, or whenever, and they might respond to it at 4 p.m. the next day, or whatever. And that I think it just allows us to have better contact with listeners because it's clear they're listening, or they're at least following us, and this is a good thing. And when it comes to particularly our Facebook page, I think it's been a plus in the main for us.
Okay.
And our analytics are pretty good. I mean, we get about 450 to 500 interactions a week through our social media, according to Facebook, and it's pretty consistent. I mean, it spikes. Like, say, during basketball season, if things are getting exciting, we're getting down to the end, it'll spike a little bit, and it'll go back down. But usually that's sort of our baseline, about 450, 500 interactions a week. Okay,
nice. And so now you mentioned MySpace, and you just mentioned Facebook, which are two social media. Do you have any more?
We do Twitter.
Twitter, okay.
Yeah. But one thing that we do, because I get it. I don't know, at least for now, that we're going to go any further than those three. We may at some point get on Google Plus when it seems like everyone else gets on Google Plus.
Right.
But I don't really want to add another one right now. But we update all of our social networks simultaneously through, Hootsuite is what we use. Okay. So we send, we type in one message, select 3 social networks, MySpace, Facebook, Twitter, and it updates all of them simultaneously with the same message.
Oh, wow.
So it makes it a lot easier. Because the problem that I was having early is that we had MySpace, then Twitter, and then Facebook. That's the way we added them. And people would update MySpace, but not Twitter.
Okay.
Then people would update Twitter, but not MySpace. Then people would only update Facebook, and Twitter and MySpace were going by the board. It's like, this is no good. You've got to update all of them, everybody. And people are just like, it's too much for us to do.
Right, yeah, I was going to say, this seems like that would add a lot more work, but since you have the Hootsuite, which can do all 3 at the same time, it seems to eliminate that problem.
Yeah, so and we're pretty active. I think the last time I looked at the number on Twitter, we had something like 6,000 tweets.
Wow.
Since we have, gone out there, which I think was 2009.
Okay.
If I'm not mistaken. I mean, so almost every day we're updating. Sometimes even on weekends, someone will weigh in, on whatever, on Saturday or Sunday. I think it's pretty rare a day goes by when we don't actually update at least once or twice.
Okay. And when you're updating on Twitter, is it just news events happening, or is it music, or is it, well, you mentioned basketball, so I guess it could be basketball and stuff like that, so it's just...
Yeah, I mean, it's a variety, and what I tell the jocks, I look at some other radio stations around here because, all the radio stations around here, at least most of them, are connected to one another. So WKXA, WFIN, they're part of our Twitter feed. We're a part of their Twitter feed. WOMB from Ohio Northern, they're part of our Twitter feed. I like that. Some radio stations aren't for that, but we don't really compete with you because no one really programs our stuff. So we're pretty much the only game in town in that.
Okay.
But what I like about it is that, some of these stations, when I look at them, they basically do the same stuff all the time. It's like, coming up next hour, this artist, that artist, and this artist,
Right.
But we do all sorts of things, music news, a funny observation, a stupid story, a dumb criminal story, just whatever strikes the jock's fancy. And I tell them whatever is of interest to you might be of interest to someone who follows. So go ahead and throw it out there, see what happens.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of everything, Sometimes they tweet a story out of the Pulse, you know, if they get, you know, it either riles them or makes them think or whatever. You know, I tend to promote the university media in general. So, you know, tonight on UFTV, if I know there's something coming up, you can watch this. You know, I promote the Pulse, and, you know, as a matter of fact, I think I even had your picture sent out on a tweet once, one of you sliding into home plate with a run in the other day.
Oh, wow,
so,
I'll take that.
So I, you know, that's the kind of stuff that gets put out there for people.
Okay, great. Okay, that was my final question. So thanks a lot, Chris Underation, people. He's the advisor of WLFC 88.3, the University of Findlay Radio Network. Thank you.
Okay.